Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Oh my goodness, my friend Adam, it is Masters Week. I know that you are jacked up. I'm jacked up. Here we are on In the Cup, brought to you by drroto.com. I'm Johnny Danger. With me as always, A-Dubs. How you doing, Adam?
A-Dubs, you are right. I am fired up. It is Masters Week. This only happens once a year. I mean, just like every golf tournament. But Augusta is special. They had a little tornado action rolling through earlier in the year in February. They got the trees replaced. The place is as pristine as ever. We got some great storylines. We got Rory going for the Grand Slam. You think he's going to win. All your models think he's going to win. He's not going to win. Scotty Scheffler going for 3 out of 4, trying to be the second guy to do that other than Jack Nicklaus. That would be pretty historic. We got some good stuff, man. I'm super stoked for the week. I have all day tomorrow off. I'm going to be eating gluttonously, if that's a word, and taking in every moment of the action from old man Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and Tom Watson hitting the initial tee shots to kick it off, all the way through the final putt being holed. And I'll probably watch some post-game action just because, I don't get to do this very often. So let's get after it, man.
Yeah, and I'm on vacation starting tomorrow, and it's probably going to be playing in the background. So I tried to buy, I don't know if you've seen this, Adam. I love targeted ads. I don't know if you know that about me, but I'm a sucker.
I did not.
I'm a sucker for targeted ads, the scrolling through the Facebook and whatnot at night and then just buying shit. There is a new golf beer drinking game, and they are on pint glasses, Adam. There's a course fully printed on pint glasses, and you fill the beer up and you play hole 1, and there's like a course, and you got to tip the beer up and drink. And when you stop and let the beer settle, that's where your shot lands. I think we got to try this game. I think we got to get sponsored by this game. I think we got to play a live version of this game.
This all sounds very interesting. I think that would really spice up our show.
I think it will. Next time, next Masters, we'll get it done. Before we get into it, I did notice that perchance we are both wearing our beautiful Detroit Tiger hats, unplanned, for they are first place in the AL Central, sir.
5-game winning streak. Let's go, baby. I know. Wait, do you hear that?
Oh.
Do you hear that?
Oh, that's the Masters. Oh. It wants us to shut up about baseball and talk golf, Adam. That's what it's.
The sense of calm has just come over me. I can hear the birds chirping, Danger. I can hear them. I can hear the roar of the Augusta patrons washing over me. I can hear Rory McIlroy struggling to breathe as he lets another one slip away. There's nothing quite like it, Danger. I'm still excited, but now I'm much more calm than I was a couple minutes ago.
Indeed. All right. Well, we are at Augusta National. Please tell us about this course and what's important besides the all-powerful course history.
Well, the Augusta National Golf Club was built by Bobby Jones and Alistair McKenzie. All right, we'll break out of the golf talk, but I do feel very soothed and calm right now. So the course has gone through quite a few changes over the years. It is now playing close to 7,600 yards. What I love about it is just some of the charm. It's so well thought out. It's so well planned out. Every hole has its own little name. Number 12 is my favorite, Golden Bell. I love a short to mid-length. This is pretty short by tour standards at 155. Challenging par 3 that makes you think, where a good shot on a Sunday to a back right pin is 30 feet. That to me is a very well thought out hole. And if you take that risk, good luck. But it is we got 4 par 5s this week, all of them reachable by the longest players. The 2 on the front 9, some of them will not be able to reach. But the rolling hills, the undulating fairways, it's different really because of the undulation changes than most other courses on tour. The greens are extremely fast and slippery. They're very undulating, much like the rest of the grounds. So short game comes into play a lot here. Guys with great short games can really hang in there, a la Cam Smith last year. Did not hit it particularly well, still finished top 10. It has a great finish. You've got the Amen corner finishing with 13 on a very reachable par 5. You'll see some guys hitting as little as mid-irons into that hole. And then the last couple really holes where you're going to see some fireworks, 15 and 16, reachable par 5. It's showing like the wind might be into the face on 15, So I think you're going to see more layups than usual with that wind out of the west this week. So that's a tough wedge shot off the downslope, but plenty of room for fireworks. You're going to see a lot of up and down. Don't check your lineups before the back nine on Sunday. Don't check your winnings, I should say. Check your lineups if you want to, but just don't get excited if you're winning like, 50K or something crazy. But this course really is, it's a great test of all aspects of players' games. And what you typically see is guys that have good form coming in and or guys that have good form at this course, good course form here, they tend to play well. It's the most predictive golf course there is on the PGA Tour as far as course history. So if you know the course and you can get it around there, you can really play well. I mean, Fred Couples makes the cut here most years, and he's like 65 now. So just that course knowledge goes a long way. I do think we're going to see winning scores somewhere in the low double digits, probably 11, 12 under. Last year we saw Scotty, but he was at 11. Oberg was at 7, and then nobody else was better than 4. So it was a tough week where Scotty separated. Like I said before, a lot of great storylines. I think the course is going to give up plenty of birdies, but there are going to be a lot of bogeys too, especially from some of those debutantes and guys with less experience and guys that can't quite control their ball this week. But overall, I am super pumped. Want to see who dons that green jacket. Maybe it's Scotty putting it on himself. What a flex that would be.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yes, they
Take
would.
it off, soil around, put it back on.
Yeah, maybe he's gained a few pounds. He needs a little bit bigger jacket this year.
Let it out a little bit. Could be. Very well could be. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
Excellent.
Oh, yes.
Looking through some ownership over the last few days, and it's moved, right? I mean, I pulled it up Monday when we set the contest up for our friends and family contest. And I saw right away that live players across the board are lower owned. Is this just something that will correct before we tee off tomorrow, and they're just not in the shall we call them casual golf bettors who get in on DraftKings and things on major events, perhaps have forgotten a little bit about the live players because they're not in the PGA headlines and highlights?
Yeah, no, I think that what you're saying could have some validity. I think when you're looking at players that stick out to you, it's just easy for those guys to kind of not be top of mind. I do think you'll see a little more steam on guys like Bryson. Sergio is going to be stupid popular. He's at 7,100. I played him last year at this event, wrote him up, and then he missed the cut by like finishing bogey double or some crap like that.
I remember you were quite angry.
I was not thrilled. He was my one guy, but it cost me a few dollars. But never been a Sergio fan. Damn it. Anyway, what were we talking about? No, I think the live guys, they're going to gain a little more steam than some of the projections show. I'm seeing some of the same stuff like Rahm. I got here at 18%. We got Neiman at 10%. I think Neiman's going to gain more steam. He's already won a couple times this year, and he's the guy that's been talked about quite a bit. But overall, I think you could get a discount on some of the lower priced guys. Like Patrick Reed has a great history here. He's down in the mid to low 7,000s. He's a guy that's really off the radar of a lot of people. Phil is at 6,700. He's actually been playing some good golf. Like a lot of people are going to shy away because A, he's on live, and B, his age starts with a 5. But he's crafty. He's still long enough. He gets it around just fine. So that is a strategy you could take. I wouldn't play all live guys. I mean, that's dangerous. Sure. But I think this year we see 12 live guys in the field. Last year it was 13. The first year that live existed, it was 17. So we'll see if there's a shift in the world ranking points, assuming the PGA and live actually don't come to an agreement to merge. That'll be interesting to watch as well. But I love it, man. All the best players in the field here. I love that we can talk about the live players. It's really not, I'm not excited about it for any DFS purposes or betting purposes. So this week with everyone back together, hopefully, it can help us see how great it is when all the top players are there, and it'll maybe be a catalyst to get this thing done so they can actually play together more often, more than like 4 times a year. Right.
All right, buddy. Well, let's get into it. We've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gentlemen above the 10K range. I gotta say, I love the 9s and 8s so much. I'm having a hard time pulling the trigger up top. I know that's dangerous to fade people like Scotty and Rory, but I think that's where I'm going to end up. I'm going to play 3 lineups, and I think the most expensive player I'm going to play is Colin Morikawa, and I don't think that I'm going to touch much of the top just because I just really love that 8K range. I'm not a huge fan of the 7K range. I do like a few of the 6K players. But am I making a mistake if I'm playing 3 lineups and I fade everyone besides Colin in the 10Ks and up?
Probably. Yeah, probably. It's a strategy I've looked at for GPPs, but I would have a fear that I fade Rory or I fade Scotty in cash lineups or in like a smaller field like our smaller 18-person field like ours, and
Sure.
He just goes off and wins or finishes second in DraftKings points, and you kind of had to have him to even compete that week. So,
well, I'll tell you this, Adam. In the first model that I ran over at Pater DFS, Scotty and Rory's median score is higher than everyone else in the field's ceiling score.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. And that doesn't mean that, there's any guarantees. It's golf, but just with what you've seen, with how they've played, with the skill set they possess, it's hard. It's hard not to see one of them, at least one of the two, finishing like top 5 and really giving a serious contending effort this week. So yeah, I'm sort of in the play them and play one of them, pick your poison in cash, and then fade them. I'm fading both of them in tournaments. I mean, I don't want to play either one of them. I think that gives you, if your goal is to win, I don't want to min cash. I'm not going to brag about a min cash. If your goal is to win, then yeah, starting with something like maybe Morikawa and Bryson, Morikawa JT could be a nice, it's not going to be totally contrarian because Morikawa will be popular enough and it is a condensed field. So ownership is going to be more condensed on certain guys than it would be at the PGA or the US Open.
Well, we know that Scotty's going to crush. We know that Rory's going to crush, barring any weird mental breakdowns. What do you think about the rest of this range? Ludwig looks good in the projections, but the some of the other metrics I'm looking at have him way down the list for being at 10-8.
Yeah, I mean, up here you got to make tough decisions. So,
but he's only 10% owned, and everybody above him is 15 to 30.
I know everybody else in his neighborhood is 50, and he does make an enticing pivot, but especially as runner-up last year in his debut, I just don't think his iron play is sharp enough, and he's been struggling around the greens. To me, that's enough to be off of him. You got to make some tough calls up here. The guy that really intrigues me in tournaments is Rahm. I think Rahm, he had a rough year last year getting acclimated to play in majors while he was playing his live schedule. I think Rahm makes for a very enticing pivot. He's not going to be super low owned, but if he's 4th highest in this top, over 10K range, that's good enough for me. If you start him with somebody in the 9K that's not going to be crazy owned, like maybe Spieth goes off. He's got phenomenal course history here. Start with like Rahm, Spieth, and then work your way down. To me, that's really, really intriguing. Morikawa is the guy that I will play a lot of as well. I'll probably have him at 50% just to double up at least his ownership in GPPs. But yeah, Rahm's the guy that I think you can get some real good leverage on. I think he wants to show everyone who the F he is after last year really disappointing him. He's a very fierce competitor. He's not an alpha quite to the level of Scotty, but damn, he was close a couple of years ago and won that Masters. So I could see Rahm coming out, and not surprising because he's been playing phenomenal golf all season on live. But getting back in the ring with these guys inside the ropes with Scotty, with Rory, I think that gets his juices flowing, and his short game's as good as anybody. So Rahm's the guy up top that I really, really like for GPPs.
Fantastic. Now, let's say I want to start with 2, perhaps even 3. I played around, and I can get 3 of the 9K guys in if I really work hard at my value. But the second lineup, you saw the first lineup I built, which was frighteningly close to the article over at drroto.com. Probably going to make you make last-minute adjustments to that article. So, but who knows? What if I were to say start with Bryson and Xander and be totally different?
Xander would definitely be different. Not a whole lot of lead up here as far as his form. He's only played a few events since coming back, but yeah, he's been a phenomenal majors player. I mean, outside of Scotty, he's been the best player in the majors for a solid 5 years running. So you could see it. I just think Augusta's a tough place to find it. It's a very tough place to find it. I would, not that you always want to be comfortable. You kind of got to get a little uncomfortable in GPPs. So I'd be more likely to start if you're trying to squeeze in 3, like Bryson, JT, Spieth. Maybe JT and Spieth actually both get it going in the same major at the same time, and play in the same group. That'd be quite the story. But yeah, I'd go something more like that.
Why do I get the feeling that Brooks kept Kopka is going to just like tear up Thursday and Friday and just like fall apart Saturday, Sunday. Why do I get that feeling?
I don't know. I mean, the pins on the weekends are always more difficult. I could see him sort of being somewhat of a factor, but he just hasn't been. I don't know. He's tough because he hasn't shown any form, but he's also still Brooks F and Koepka. Like the dude's got more majors than anybody in this field besides like the old dudes, maybe one of them, and Phil Mickelson. So of this generation, he's the top dog. He's got more than Rory even. So yeah, I'm never going to say full fade on Brooks. I'm not personally playing him. I just haven't seen the form, and he also didn't play very well in majors last year. So I think he's lost a little something as far as that edge in majors. But I wouldn't be shocked by it either. I think Spieth has shown some form, and this is a course where he can really, when he gets those good feels going, and he's not hitting that one or two wayward tee shots every day. He's shown his ball strikes to get a little more consistent. So he's the guy. While I don't love it, if he's at 10%, Jordan Spieth at Augusta 10% at 9K, yeah, I could.
I've got
work with that.
I got Spieth on your data golf sitting about 10. Pater's got him at 8% owned. 9K flat. I mean, I'm gonna have a hard time not figuring out how to get him in there. I really like the Spieth play. Yeah,
I mean, maybe he'll jump up and be a little more than we think, maybe like 15%. But assuming he's at 10, I do think he's a great option there. And there's gonna be some guys playing. Some of the dudes we're about to talk about in the 8K range. There's gonna be some pretty heavy ownership there as well. So yeah, Spieth right kind of at the bottom of that 9K range. You look at him and you're like, oh, he's more expensive than Lowry. He's more expensive than Cam Smith and Russell Henley. Russell Henley won this year. He's playing great. Yeah, but it's Augusta, dude. Everything, all bets are off at Augusta. And like we said, if you are good on this course, you typically play well on this course if you have any sort of form. So Spieth, Spieth
Let's talk about how Victor Hovland's at 92, but on like 30th in my rankings. What's the deal with his pricing?
Well, he had that one spike week where he actually, hit good shots and made putts when he wanted to. He's still tinkering too much. I think he's up there because he's still a big name, and he just won a few weeks ago. But yeah, Victor's not a guy that I have any interest in. I don't think he's even worth talking about too much more, to be honest with you.
All right, what about Decky? I know that he really hurt us a few weeks back. But
he hurt us a few weeks back, and he hurt me here last year, man. I still have a little hangover from him just being very mediocre here last year. So no, I can't do it. He flashed early, and he's shown a little bit of form here and there. He just hasn't put a good tournament together since the Century when he won to open the season. Kind of struggles with some nagging injuries and stuff. It's just his short game is fantastic, so that could keep him in it. But as far as a guy at his price, I want somebody that gives me a little more confidence he's going to contend. Someone who's showing more consistent form this year, especially more recent form. I mean, the Century was due. That's the first full week in January. That's eons ago. Your form can change a lot in 3 months' time, and it certainly has for him. So yeah, just not really there. Fleetwood shot 81 last week on Sunday. I know he's got decent history here. Had his best finish here last year that he's ever had, but no, I mean, I can't talk myself into these guys outside of the 3, maybe 4 that we mentioned, if you want to throw Brooks in there.
Fair enough. Hey, let's get to the 8K range. I want to talk about a guy. You might be able to pick it out. He's number 3 in the overall leverage score of my model. And he's a gentleman named Min Woo Lee. One of my favorite players. I love putting him in my lineups. Talk me out of it, buddy, because I love it.
You missed him. You missed him on his big win. I mean, we both did.
I know, and now I'm all mad.
We both did. I also missed him. I've been a fan of playing Min Woo in the past too. Yeah, he's a very one of my favorite golf podcasts calls him an unstable compound.
Yes,
like he could absolutely explode and go nuclear, or he could totally fizzle out, and you're like, "What happened? Where are you?" Like you're that meme of the stick figure, right? Like the other one with a stick. So Min Woo, to me, he does have decent course history here. He's probably riding high off that victory, but no, I'm taking the chance that he's going to kind of fizzle out and go the other direction. His approach game is what scares me. His approach game, he gets a little too aggressive sometimes. I don't think he quite has the maturity to play the way Scotty does, or some of the more seasoned veterans here. And he still hits some really, really wayward drives. So while he is long, he hits some so far offline that, I don't know, that could very easily derail his confidence. I could see him making several big numbers this week and still a lot of birdies, but not the guy that I'm just.
So here's the problem, Adam, is I've got him as number 12 overall in scoring in my model. I've got him number 3 in leverage. I've got him at a 28% chance of top 10 finish in my model. But here's the problem. How's my model been this year, Adam?
Your model has been not great, Bob.
It's been hilarious. It's literally like 3 top 15 guys and 3 miscut guys. So It's like, it's been really good and really bad to me. And I don't know where to put Minwoo this time, but we'll move on. We got a couple of really popular plays in the 8K range here. We've got Patrick Cantlay, Russell Henley, Bobby Mack. Any love for those 3?
Bobby Mack, man. Bobby Mack's my dude. My middle name is Mac Lane, and his name is Mac Entire. His short game has been phenomenal. He's been chipping and putting the crap out of it lately. While he didn't play here last year, he does have finishes of T23 and T12 back in 22 and 21. I like Bobby Mack a lot. The driver has been very consistently good. The putter has come around. He's not afraid of the moment, man. When he gets in there, if he's contending after a couple rounds, he tends to stick around. When he finds it, he keeps it. So I'm banking on my Scotsman, Mr. McIntyre, to have a great week this week. The sneaky one to me in this range, Henley's going to garner a lot of ownership. Lowry's going to garner a lot of ownership. I'm not on Lowry. He's just not – I don't know. There's something about the way this sets up for him. I could see his putter going bulky. He's not that long off the tee. Cam Smith, man, I mentioned him earlier. I don't want to play him. Like, he's not week in, week out as good as he was when he was on the PGA Tour. He just mentally, he's not quite there. That being said, you can say the same thing about him last year, and he finished T6. Last year he gained almost 12 strokes on the field, around and on the greens. And this is a course where if you can miss in the right spots, avoid big numbers, and sort of bide your time until Sunday, I could see him sitting there at like 3-4 under going into Sunday and then shooting 4-5 deep on the front 9. And you're like, where the hell did Cam Smith come from? I can just see it, man. He's like an assassin. He gets ramped up for the big events. So
can I admit to you that I have Max Grazerman ranked higher than Cam Smith?
I mean, that's a fine admission. I will eat something awful on next week's broadcast if he beats Cam Smith. Like, Grazerman's he's not it, dude. He does not have it right now. He does not have it right now. But as far as the other dudes in this range, though, like we said, we kind of know where the ownership's going to be. Like, Hatton had a good finish here last year, but he's not playing well. Cantlay, just not for me at that price, man. If he was a grand cheaper, I'd go, all right, there's some upside there. I could see it. But the guys I'm really focused on, Russell Henley in cash, yeah, all day. Like, he's a great bet to finish top 25. I just don't see him truly contending into Sunday if you're looking for like the super high upside guy. If you want that, to me, it's more on the Cam Smith, the Bobby Mack. I think Bobby's ready to turn that corner and go from like good player, people talk about him, to, hey, guy who contends like once or twice a year in majors and wins every year. He's got kind of an unorthodox swing, but he's the dude that I'm really focused on here in this range. I think he's got a great chance to contend this week and have his best finish in a major.
Fair enough. All right, let's move down to the 7K. I'll tell you that the guys that pop in the model for the 7K, Mr. Sepp Straka, going to be fairly heavily owned, and Corey Connors, Sergio, and Keegan Bradley. Those are the 4 that pop the most right now in the 7K range. I feel like, I don't know why, I feel like Jason Day at 76 is also going to do well in my model here. This is a weird price range because you see names that you normally expect to be higher than the 7K range because of the strength of the field. Do you feel like we can get some headway on the 7K range on the field here?
Yeah, I think definitely you could. Keegan's gonna have a lot of ownership down there at the bottom. Corey Connors at the top. Him at 7,900. That feels like it's not. There's no musts in PGA DFS golf. Like, like we've talked about, there's no situation where you just go, oh, well, this guy was in line for 25 touches this week, and now he just tweaked his hamstring and he's out. So the running back is coming in, and you got to play him at 5K. You have to. It's just not that way in golf. But in cash games, I can't see not playing Corey Connors, just like I can't see avoiding Scheffler and Rory in cash games. So Coco is the guy here. It makes you feel the most comfy, and with good reason. Great course history here. Last 2 years, not so much, but before that, he was playing phenomenal. He's been coming in with great form. Hasn't finished out of the top 15 in a while. He's a phenomenal ball striker. His concern's always been putting, and now he's putting better. So it's like, how do you talk yourself out of him, at least in a good chunk of your lineups, to equal the ownership projections? Sepp, I'm out on. Just the short game to me is not there for him. It's going to be very much, is his putter super hot? If it's not, I think Sepp will be middle of the pack at best. Phenomenal approach player. It's good enough off the tee. He's not particularly long. Doesn't hit it super high, and I think it's going to be a little damp the first couple of days here. So yeah, Sepp's not a guy that I'm interested in at that ownership. I mean, I know he's a discount considering his form on the year, but not for me. Not for me. Who are you showing as one of your leverage plays? Because I got a guy down here in the lower 7K range. He's a bit of an old, kind of like me. But yeah, I'll be surprised if this is not one of the top leverage plays on your little rankings there, Dan.
On my little rankings, there's not actually a ton of big leverage plays in the 7K range. They like Sergio, they like Keegan, but that's because they have him, both of those guys hovering around 10% owned, which I think it's going to come in a little higher than that, and that kind of ruin that leverage play. No, I got a couple of guys here I like. Daniel Berger, I think, talked to you a little bit before the show. Ranks pretty nicely in here. That's the model's a little weird in the 7K range. It's not giving a lot of love. It's not giving a lot of love in the 7K range.
So I got two guys here at the bottom. I got one guy who's got great course history. He's a bit old, but he's still getting it done. He's contended this year. I mean, he finished third at the Pebble Beach. Is a pretty darn good bet to make the cut. Like, he's contended here a couple times, like right down to the last few holes. I like Justin Rose, man, at 7,200. Like, I am in on Rose. Everyone's going to be on the other old Sergio Garcia, which I get. His ball striking has been phenomenal this year. They're both really trying to get on that Ryder Cup team. I think the captain, Luke Donald, wants to see these vets play their way on. You can't pick them just because they're, former Ryder Cup greats. I think they're both motivated to play well on the biggest stage. Rose has played well here in the past. I like him as the pivot. The other guy who's a debutant, who great pedigree, really found his way on the tour the last year, had a phenomenal college track record, is Maverick McNeely. I know he's a first-year player. I know course history is important, but I think he's got the mindset to try and be patient out here, missing the right spots. And I think he could really surprise this week. I would not be surprised at all if he was like up there in the top 10 through a couple rounds and sort of, in the distance of that first page of the leaderboard, flirting with it on Saturday into Sunday. So those are the guys that I have sort of gravitated towards here. Like I said, I can't really fault you if you want to play Sergio, but at 10%, approximately where I got him, just not for me. Not not after he burned me last year, man. I'm still hurting from that.
And you bitter. Outside of the week that he took off for illness, Jason Day has played pretty well. He's done well in majors in the past, and he ranks pretty high in my model. But you seem to be glossing over him. Is that a no-go for A-dubs?
I did gloss. I like that he has a great short game. He's got decent course history here. He's really never contended outside of 1 year, and that was a long time ago when he was truly a different type of golfer. So yeah, Day's not the guy with his loss of distance, and his approach play not being great. Just not really where my head's at. Like Reed, he's not going to make a ton of birdies. He's not particularly long. He's going to be a cut maker. Like he's probably not going to miss the cut here. So I could see some merit to that. But like I said, with Keegan, with Sergio, with these guys being so highly owned, like I think Keegan's ceiling is around 20th, which isn't bad for this price. I would rather play Davis Thompson at 7,000 or Mav McNeely at 71, where their ownership is. I think they're more likely to finish where you need them to win a GPP like Davis Thompson's approach play has been really, really good lately. Gained over 6 strokes at his most recent event at Texas. So that's more where my head's at. And yeah, you can have Day, you can have some of these guys who have lost it off the tee. Just not where I'm going.
Love it. All right, 6,500. I'm gonna bring him up again. I bring him up every week. It's been like 3 years. The Postman pops in my models yet again at 6,500. Gotta love him there. What about a guy like Brian Harmon? Been around forever. 6,800.
Yeah, just one last week. I think high probability Harmon makes the cut. His wedge play, his short game are just too good. But I think very low probability he actually contends and does anything that pops. Like you talked about 6,500, man. There's a dude who won this year who's great at tough golf courses. If you're gonna have your winning score around 10 under, a guy that I would certainly like to look at. He just
go out to breakfast with, perhaps.
Huh?
To go to breakfast with at Denny's, perhaps.
Denny's.
Denny McCarthy? No, not.
Oh,
not.
no. No. Denny hasn't won this year, man. I'm talking about a guy who won at 8 under this year on a long golf course. Lots of long irons. The range you want to be good on your approaches is like 175 to about 2.25 here. You got a lot of approaches like that. That's why I don't like Rory all that much, because he's not locked in that long iron range. He's gotten better in like the 100 to 150 range, which is great, but you don't have a lot of those shots at Augusta. So I'm talking about Harry English, man.
Yeah, I knew you were. He's a negative 43 on my leverage score.
Do you remember a couple of years ago, or like last year, and you were like, I was like, you know who I like down here? He's kind of old, but I kind of like you, like Stuart Sink. Yeah. I was like, yeah, how'd you know? You're like, you always like Stuart Sink. At majors, I always like Harris English for the most part. Yeah. You know, he's got a phenomenal U.S. Open track record. He's a good value at 6,500. I think he's the guy who I would love to see as a top 40 bet. He's going to make the cut. I'm putting my neck on the line. He's making the cut, and I could see him even sneaking up into that top 20, man. He's going to be around. He's not going to kill himself and shoot himself out of the tournament. But enough about Harris English.
The model hates him.
You know, your model, Danger, can piss off, with all due respect.
I mean, it hasn't
piss off.
It hasn't been great today.
No, he's more of like strokes gained, like patience, grinding, being a veteran, Georgia Bulldog. Like, he's not a guy who's going to pop in your models, but he's a guy who at the end of the week you're going to go, what? Who saw that coming? But yeah,
can I tell you about the guy that pops the most leverage down in the 6K? Because I think you'll just laugh, and I don't think I'll play him. But projected at 0.59% ownership, Mr. Matthew McCarty.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say that's a no for me, dog. But and if I do play him, like, I always play the wrong MM. I was playing, who was it? Max McGreevy instead of McCarthy. And whoever I don't play, if I play him, he's not going to hit. That's just where I'm at with these guys, these M&M guys. But no, I could see why in the leverage. I mean, under 1%, sure. And he had a great Corn Ferry track record. That's why he's on the tour. But no, not for me.
Fair enough.
There's a debutante, a couple of them down here. I know Taylor Pender's getting a lot of attention. He's great off the tee. Showing good form putting, pretty solid approach play. 6,700, like, that's the kind of skill set you could see doing well as a debutante at Augusta. And Detry's played well in majors, man. I think he's got the mindset to do it. He even said last year, he's like, I don't know, something about majors. It just gets me up, man. Top 15 in 3 consecutive majors. It was the Open Championship, PGA last year, U.S. Open last year. Plays tough course as well. And I think it's going to play tougher than most this week. Pendrith, like I said, the skill set's there, and then you got the Højgaard brothers. Nikolai popped last year, like, he was the value play of 2024. Just 3 straight missed cuts, man. I can't do it. You know, I got myself onto JJ Spawn early. His approach play has been so good over the last 4 or 5 events here. And he did finish in his lone Masters appearance. He finished T23 back in 2022. So at 6,800, I could definitely see him hanging around into the weekend. You know, he's probably going to make some bogeys, obviously, but his short game's not great. So he might make some boneheaded bogeys where you're like, God, you were like just off the green in 2 on this par 4, and you made bogey. but he's gonna have plenty of birdie opportunities. So that's a guy that I'm liking there. Outside of your M&M guy, who else are you showing as some leverage plays?
So there's some interesting stuff down there that sometimes I like to look at the people who have a chance to make the cut over like 40% or so way down here. And it is interesting, and I think it's maybe just fandom, right? But Phil Mickelson's ranking on this is 61% chance to make the cut. I thought that was pretty wild.
That seems wild. Sounds a little bit like Potgieter last week,
Right.
who was like the third highest or some crazy stuff, and he did miss the cut, by the way.
Right. That is.
We were talking about the last week we did the event or the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was wild. Let's see a couple of names that pop down here. We got Michael Kim pops a little bit at 67. And I know we glanced over the name because it's in the 7K range, but because he's kind of ranked low. But Adam Scott makes a little small appearance here. And I don't know, there's not a ton down here. Nick Dunlop, who I don't have any faith in, also has a strange little green square next to his name.
I think the way I think down here is, if you have the skill set to do it, if you're very long, if you can hit these par fives and two, Rasmus Højgaard, he's been very up and down. Like Rasmus, Taylor Pendrith, Benny On's actually long. He finished last year. He had a great finish here. Finished T16, and he was down in the 6,000s again last year. He made a lot of birdies. Like that's a guy you could certainly be on. You could be on.
You could be on Benny On.
Mr. On. But yeah, if you're stacking skill sets like the longest dudes we saw, I kind of just talked about with the Højgaard brothers, as well as Taylor Pendrith. And I think, man, it's hard to look at Phil. He's been playing well the last few events out, like 6th in his last event, 19th in Singapore, okay, 3rd in Hong Kong. And granted, it's live, but that's still beating all but 2 players and then all but 5 players. And he's Phil Mickelson, man. He came from the dead 2 years ago. He's been popping in odd numbered years. Like he finished 2nd 2 years ago, 2nd place. He went toe-to-toe with Spieth in the final round, like the Augusta wizard, and just outdueled him. Just made a putt on 18 as a freaking savage. And I could see him doing it, man. 6,700. I'm talking myself into Phil.
All right, let me ask you a question. In our 18 person, 19, how many do we have? 18 person friends and family tournament. Got a lot of old school golf lovers in our group. DFS, Paydirt DFS has Phil around 4%. Data Golf has him around 7%. Predict the percentage owned in our friends and family league.
For Phil?
Yeah. How many of the 18 people in our league are going to take a shot on Phil?
I'll go 4.
You think 4? That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
That's 20%.
Yeah, I think one out of every 4.5 people. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'm writing that down. I'm circling it.
Back on Spawn. So I did go to bet the number this week. I got myself a little week-long free trial to cheat it. And JJ Spawn's sitting there at the 8th ranked player in the model. His approach game in that range we talked about is phenomenal. It's a course you can spread off the tee a little bit. Like Spawn's the guy that I'm really coming around to down here. His game's been great over the last 8 to 10 months. So yeah, he's the dude down here in this price range that really is enticing to me.
Well, according to my model, he's going to be the highest owned player in the 6K range.
That's fine. And down here, like it's the Masters, you're going to have a lot of high ownership, but Denny McCarthy was one of the darlings.
Actually, I lied. I'm sorry. Michael Kim's going to be the highest owned according to this.
Good. Yeah, I mean, you can have Michael Kim this week. It's his first time at the Masters in a long time, and the first time he played here, he had a completely different golf game. Like he's changed his swing, gained a lot of distance. Kudos to him. That's great. Lucas Glover is a guy you could see like solid bet to make the cut, but if he makes the cut, I see him finishing between like 25th and last of the players that do make the cut. Short game's not there. Putting can be a little up and down. I would much rather take my chances with Harris English at projected lower ownership. There's one guy down like below that's not an old that I am kind of intrigued by. I could see him being that like, why the heck is this guy up here? Phenomenal putter, pretty solid around the greens. Just has no business contending, but I could see Nico Echevarria doing a little something.
I was just looking at that name.
Nico, it's a fun name. Nico Echevarria.
Nico
Echevarria. I've heard
Oh,
Echevarria.
yeah, he pops up in the 28% leverage. 28%.
Yeah. But on paper, as far as the model's concerned, like Spawn.
JJ Spawn, by the way, negative 43% leverage. Negative 43.
Which makes sense. Like last year, Denny McCarthy, I think, was down in that same price, maybe a little bit cheaper in that price range. And he had just finished second the week before. And you're like, Denny at the he's a great putter, but I don't know. And at the end of the week, it was like, okay, he was the value guy you had to have along with Nikolai Horgaard. So, yeah, I'm not scared off by a little higher ownership down here. Like if he's 2%, 3% more owned than, Taylor Pendrith and these dudes, okay, that's fine.
I did not know that Angel Cabrera still played golf. I'm not gonna lie.
Angel, dude, what a legend. He was in jail for 2 years, Danger.
Yeah.
He was in jail for 2 years, and he just won the Champions Tour this past week.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like I saw somebody posting his picture with the championship trophy, with first day out from T Grizzly playing in the background. I was like, dude went and had a day. Like he had a week. He just got out of jail. He's like,
he was just pumping iron for 2 years. He's reinvigorated.
I know, man. I'm just picturing him getting out of jail, like picking the golf clubs up and being like, okay, I remember how to do this. And then like going to the practice range and being like, all right. Like if he documented that, him walking out of jail, like with his, like I would love to see him doing some community service, like picking up trash in an orange jumpsuit. And then cut to him on the range grinding, like first range session since he got out of jail. And then cut to him like teeing off on the first hole of the Champions Tour event. And then cut to him with the trophy. Like, what a story, dude. What a story. I don't remember what he did. It was pretty cool.
All right. Well, we are approaching 45 minutes, which is long for us. We usually try to keep it under 30.
It's a major.
But, I got some questions before we get out of here. I'm going to go from the bottom up, and I'm just going to kind of look at some people we've talked about this year and been high on that we haven't hit yet. So you talked about Højgaard, but right there at the same price, what about Billy Ho? Any love for Billy Ho? All right,
no,
guys we brought up a few times this year, just asking. Come on now, easy now. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, sir. Let's talk about Aaron Rai at 68.
Yeah, it doesn't have the distance or the short game for me. Debutante, doesn't have the course history here. He's the guy that could like tactician and think his way around the golf course, but still just not enough. Not enough juice there. I need some juice this week, Danger. Give me the Højgaard brothers. Give me some juice. Long hitters.
I'm gonna circle Pendrith. You got me back on that. Get me back on that thought. Sanjay, is he just done with his peak career and just making money now?
Sungjae's dead, man. Sungjae's dead. I drafted him and paid way too much in my auction league this year. He's just dead to me. But yeah, like the longer dudes down here, when you look at, they might not finish high in the tournament, but DraftKings scoring, I want to be the guy who does this, who actually looks at like DraftKings scoring rankings every week, because you'll hear every week like, oh, he had a decent week. He was at 9,500 and he finished T15. It's like, yeah, but he was 28th in points because he made like 8 birdies and 5 bogeys. Like, you want dudes who can have those eagle opportunities.
Yeah.
And these guys down here, Pendrith, the Højgaard brothers, the longer players down at the bottom of the 7K range, those are guys who are going to make some freaking eagles or at least create opportunities for them. So that's what I'm looking at. I want guys who can score, guys who can bomb it, guys who can create plenty of opportunities. I don't care if they make some bogeys, even make a double if you want to once in a while. But give me the eagles and lots of birdies.
Yeah, I mean, listen, double bogeys only -1 point, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can have some volatility. You have more players, a higher percentage of players making the cut here than most weeks. And you've got a bunch of old dudes who, like, they're probably not going to make the damn cut. They're not going to compete. They're just here because they won 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So it's a week to take risks, especially with your lower price players.
Sure. Daniel Berger, you glossed over him, but I like him.
I did gloss over him. Short game for me is not quite there with Berger. At his price, though, he doesn't bomb it like these guys, but he's long enough. He just hits it pretty low. So my biggest issue with Berger at this course is he hits it really low with his irons. And I don't know. I could see this course kind of wearing him out in some of the spots he'll put himself in around the greens. And I'm just going another direction down in the low 7s, high 6s.
Gotcha. Akshay Bhatia. We didn't talk about him at all.
We didn't. In this course, it really does favor lefties who can hit kind of the high cutter on some of these corners. I think Akshay is at that point where he could be ready to start contending in majors. I don't think the models are going to necessarily love him. I'm trying to look for where he is.
I mean, they like him fine.
Yeah, he's all right. He's 26th. That's better than his price ranking. So, yeah, 8,100 for me is just a bit. It's a bit.
I mean, I've got him ranked right next to Lowry and Jason Day and Will Z, just kind of sitting there hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Pendrith at 67 ranked above him. You got Min Woo ranked just below him for 400 more. I would take Min Woo all day for what we just talked about, the explosive holes potential to make 2-3 eagles in the tournament, and just even though he finishes 30th, he might be a guy you have to have because he's like 18th in DraftKings points at his price.
Right, that could happen. You talked about him pre-show. We glossed right over him at the top of the price range, Mr. Joaquin Niemann.
Yeah, a lot like Berger, just a low hitter. Like he typically hits a very trappy kind of a low approach shot. If it was a week where it was going to be super windy and a little chillier, his short game is fantastic. And he has barely made a cut in a major. Like his major championship track record is just awful. So for him being on live, I get it. He's hot this year. He was hot last year too and played like crap. So he truly hasn't even sniffed contention of the weekends in a major yet. And to me, Augusta is not a place that you kick that off, especially with his low ball flight. So I expect him to contend in majors later this year. Like he will be a guy we're targeting at the PGA and or the U.S. Open, just not at Augusta.
It's not this one. And the last guy we kind of glanced over, right at the top of the 9K range, we didn't really talk about DeChambeau. I just want to make sure we give the people what they're here for, Adam.
I love Bryson. And this week, if you think about last year at this tournament, you were like, Bryson's kind of popping in the models. And I was like, nah, he doesn't have it with this course. I was wrong, Danger. He was a great value last year, first round leader. He's sort of turned a corner with his mentality in majors, and that's what's really appealing to me. Of course, he's long. Of course, he's going to have those opportunities on the par fives to score. But the biggest thing for me is his majors mentality. He's won 2 U.S. Opens now. Outdueling Rory last year at Pinehurst really showed me something. Like his short game was better than it's been. Damn near chased down Xander at the PGA. Yeah, man. I think it's Bryson's season. I think Bryson could have a very solid, starting with last year, a very solid like 3, 4, 5 year run in majors where he almost feels like Brooks did up until a couple of years ago. So yeah, very, very high on Bryson this week. If he's at 15 and Morikawa, Rahm, Scheffler and all those guys are 15% plus, 30% for Scotty. Yeah, I love Bryson as a value there at 9,900.
I dig it. All right, make the green jacket call, sir. Make it right now.
I'm gonna say not Rory. That's for sure. No, I'm not trying to hate on Rory. It's just the course doesn't set up as well as some others do for him. Let's see. I'm going to go a little bit off the board here. I think it's a year where you actually have a little bit of a longer shot that ends up taking home the trophy. Why not? I'm going to go with my guy, Bobby Mack, man.
Woo,
Bobby
baby.
McIntyre.
What are you putting on that? $50, $100? What are you putting on that?
This means I got to bet him. So
that means you got to bet him, bro. What's his odds right now?
Because if I do call this and he wins, he's at 60-1. Yeah, I'm betting Bobby Mack. I'm placing this bet as soon as we hang up the phone.
I like that. All right, I'm going to go the same way as you, sir. I'm going to take a little bit of a longer odd, not a hugely longer odd. Somebody who's competed, somebody who has major pedigree, somebody who is not scared of the spotlight. But I'm going to go down to 9K flat, and I'm going to take Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth for his second jacket. All right.
He's been there before.
It's interesting. We have a few guys coming off injuries. Like you got Xander, where you're like, he's not all the way back yet. You got Berger. He's played great this year, but he was injured for a while. You got Spieth coming off wrist surgery. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I think it is a week. Everyone's talking about Scotty and Rory, and golf to me is the most contrarian sport there is, as far as like logically, this is probably going to happen. It never happens.
It never
like,
happened. Not since Tiger, Tiger's day.
Right. Yeah, like Scotty won last year, that was logical. Rahm won the year before, that was logical. But this year, like Rory's played great, but he's not like on Scotty and Rahm's level from the last 2 years.
Right.
And the course doesn't suit him all that. Like every course suits Rory to some extent, and he's played well at Pebble and at the TPC this year. But I do not see Rory contending on the back nine on Sunday. Not seriously. He might be like 5, 6, 7 shots back. I just think these guys are gonna separate a little bit from Rory this week. It's a big letdown spot for him.
I like it. What are the odds on Spieth? Do you have that up still?
Yeah. So Jordan Spliff is 35-1. I mean, it's not bad.
35-1.
I'm hitting JJ Spawn at 130 though. I'm hitting JJ Spawn at 130.
We're gonna go a different direction for our second pick this week, sir. Give me a surprise top 10 contender. A surprise top 10 contender.
I'm gonna go with my guy Justin Rose, man. Go with my guy Justin Rose. I think he was. I just looked at it before. I think he's 6-1 to top 10.
6-1 to top 10. I like it.
I think he could. I think if he does it, he'll hang around for the first 2 rounds, be like 20th, 25th, and then he'll have a nice solid weekend. Maybe get out earlier before the leaders when it gets a little windy on Saturday or something. Shoot like 68 or 9, kind of be there, and then just shoot another couple 3 under par and finish 7th, 8th, 9th somewhere in there. I like Rose this week.
You like Rose. Fair enough. I am going to take, and I know we kind of glanced over it, but I'm just going to do it anyways, sir. I'm going to take Lucas Glover, surprise top 10 contender.
Glover, man, we picked a couple of old dudes.
Yeah, man. That's
a lot of experience.
Surprise top 10 pick. That's why, sir.
Is it a shock that we both have gray in our beards and we pick some old dudes?
It's not a shock. It's not a shock. All right, we're going to go deep value. I want to see mid to low 6K. Who's going to not only make the cut, but some birdies, maybe finish top 30, nothing crazy, but make some birdies and get some scoring done for you. Who is it? Is it a Højgaard brother? Is it?
No, the Højgaard brothers, they make Minwoo Lee look like, Scotty Scheffler's consistency. They're just so up and down, which, maybe that's what we want. We want that.
That's what we need.
Up here. So I'm not going to go Harris because he's like too steady Eddie. He's just not exciting. I'm going to go with the guy we haven't even talked about yet. We kind of glossed over him, but debutant. No, we did. We talked about him. Good in majors, could be explosive. I'm going to go Thomas Detry, 69 as a debutant. I still like him. He's going to make lots of birdies and eagles.
I like it. Well, you talked me into it on top of the article I was just reading when I got bored of listening to you. I am going to Taylor Pendrith at 6,700.
Why do you got to hurt my feelings right at the end of the show, man? I'm trying to have a good day today.
I love you, man. I love you. I love you a lot. All right, buddy. I got like a job I got to go do. I know you just got to like swing some clubs or something. But,
yeah, that's all I really do is swing some clubs, build some clubs, go try them, swing them some more. One day I'll actually make some money swinging the clubs again, like probably in a couple months. But yeah. No,
it's true. It's true. All right. Well, let's see. Anything else? Did you miss anything else? Is there anything you wish you would have said?
There's 100%. There's a lot of things that I probably missed here. Yeah, I mean, someone's gonna pop down here.
Let me ask you a question. All the guys that we just talked about, right? You have some strong feelings on some names. Give me a name that people think are going to do really, really well and are just going to suck and maybe even miss the cut.
I love this one. All right. So high owned fade for me this week. I'm actually going to go with Shane Lowry. I'm going to go with Lowry. Like he'll probably make the cut. If you're looking for a guy that's going to absolutely bomb out, it's probably not him, but he's just not a dude that I'm even remotely interested in this week at that ownership. Like him being 3 times as popular as Terrell Hatton, yeah, I'm good on that. Him being 5% more owned than Cam Smith at Augusta, no thanks. Let's see if Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka is the dude in the 7K range as one of the top, like probably 5 highest owned dudes outside.
That was who I was going to say, sir.
Sepp is my dude. I'm fading. Sorry.
Yeah. Sepp
Still
and
your Thunder.
Lowry.
He's a big dude, so he probably makes some thunderous strides, just like big old. Maybe I don't like big dudes. I don't know. Shane Lowry's
I guess Sepp and Lowry. You know, I mean, this is something that I practice all the time in all the fantasy sports that I play. When a value guy is ridiculously owned, my brain immediately just goes, nah, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, right with you, dude. Especially in golf. In golf, like there is no scenario in golf where, like we talked about, where it's just a value all of a sudden. Late in the week, the alpha receiver who garners 10 targets a game is out. Oh my God, you got to play this dude. He normally sees 4 targets, but it's spiked to 8. No, there's none of that in golf, dude. You got to go out and earn it. And Sepp, say what you will, man. He's started to show some signs, and I love him in other tournaments. Just this is not the week for him.
Too big of a stage, sir. Too big of a stage.
I don't know about that. Like he finished T2 at the British a couple years ago. He's won, multiple times lately in the last year, but yeah, it's just not the skill set for him. It's not the course for his skill set. So yeah, good. I'm glad we're on the same page with fading Sepp. I hate that you loved every one of my article. It probably means they're all going to crap the bed, but
I'm going to play them all just for you. Every one of them. I'm going to make a 3 max, $15 tournament buy-in or 27, whatever that 3 max is. And I'm going to play every variation of the guys in your article just for you.
Do it. And you'll probably win money. And I'm going to fade them because you told me you're going to play them. And then you're going to win all the money and you're going to be laughing in my face. But what I'm going to do is
never laugh in your face, sir. It's out of character for me.
Most weeks, I'll finish with this. Most weeks, I allow even our little 18-person contest to piss me off throughout the week because I'm like, damn it, I knew I should have played that dude. And this week, as soon as that first tee shot's hit, I don't care about betting. I don't care about DFS, at least until after the cut. Friday night, Saturday morning, I'm going to line some more bets up for the weekend, of course.
For sure.
I'm not going to let anything piss me off. I'm going to live in master's bliss for at least 36 hours. Let's do this.
I love it, buddy. Well, I really appreciate you. You, of course, can read this article that I'm going to play cooler on and ruin all the plays over at the Green Read over at drroto.com. You can get our cheat sheet filled out by myself, A-Dub here, and Dr. Roto himself. You got baseball absolutely in a tear right now. You got hockey still rolling. You got basketball playoffs coming. We got writers. We got picks for all of them. Please come check us out, drroto.com. Adam, enjoy the Masters weekend, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Danger. Happy Masters week, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.